In this video, I'm going to reveal to you why you just aren't making progress with procrastination. You've watched all of these videos with procrastination tactics and the 5-second rule, and yet you're still procrastinating. And so I guarantee you, if you implement what's in this video, for the first time, you'll actually see a difference in procrastination. But a little about me first. I'm Anthony, and I'm a procrastination coach. I have spent 2 years learning and extracting lessons from procrastination. And so after applying them, I'm in the best shape I've ever been. And I even help other people stop procrastinating. I don't know what I'm talking about here. And so the real big problem with procrastination tactics is that they don't work. I remember watching hundreds of videos where it was just teaching you about the 5-second rule, eat the frog, all of these different productivity tactics. And yet I still wasn't making progress. And guess what? I spent all of that time watching procrastination videos, but because I was watching those procrastination videos, I ended up just procrastinating on the thing I originally wanted to do. You see, the big problem with tactics is that they only work if you remember to do them. Like, imagine you're scrolling, you're caught in that cycle where you're scrolling for 3 hours on end. You're not going to remember the 5-second rule out of nowhere. You're not going to remember any of these different strategies, like to put on a timer and stare at a wall. You're not going to remember them because they only work when you remember them. You see, you're not going to remember a random rule from one of the hundreds of tactics you've learned so far just because you've watched one video on it. Tactics don't work, but instead, mindsets do. Mindsets actually work with procrastination because procrastination is a mindset problem. And so, as a bonus, actually, I'm going to give you 3 of my best mindsets so that you can deal with procrastination effectively and also quickly, right? You don't want to spend 2 years like I did. You want a shortcut this time. For the first mindset that I have for you, it's the realization that discipline is BS. Discipline is tough. Discipline is hard. All of these people online are glorifying discipline. Like David Goggins is the biggest contender of this, right? You see all these people glazing for David Goggins, but really, that man is suffering. Like, you do not want to experience what David Goggins is experiencing. He is suffering. And it's funny, like people always glorify discipline, but the problem is, how can you expect to be disciplined when you can't even stop procrastinating on simple tasks? You see, I would love to tell you about how great discipline is, but if you're procrastinating, that's the first problem you have to deal with. Afterwards, you can be as disciplined as you want. You can be hoorah, David Goggins. Like, you could do all that stuff after you stop procrastinating. And then another thing you might be thinking is that you need motivation, but that's not correct. You don't need motivation in the slightest. In fact, waiting for motivation is a large part of why people procrastinate. They think that they just need to wait until you suddenly feel like you want to. And sometimes that does happen. Don't get me wrong. You've had those motivated, productive days where you just wake up. It's a great day. You actually end up getting stuff done. And then the next day you wake up and you don't even want to get out of bed. Okay? Those days. How you can actually get some motivation on one day, but then the next day you're back in your rut again. You can't rely on motivation because it's simply an emotion. Emotions are not something you want to rely on. Instead, you want to go in the middle path here. So discipline is BS, but motivation is an emotion, right? You can't rely on either of them, at least at this moment, right? The middle path that you want to take to actually take action is through enjoyment. Enjoyment is when you just simply choose to enjoy the thing you have to do. And I'll give you an example. I'm making currently a landing page for my coaching program. By the way, in the description link, there's a link in the description. I am making this landing page, a sales page, and to be honest, it's pretty difficult for you. I've never made a website before, and the program I'm using literally has a drag and drop feature. It's as simple as you can get. I think a 5-year-old could do it, honestly. And yet it's pretty difficult. Like, I can be all disciplined and stuff, but at the end of the day, you still have to try. Like, it's hard to be disciplined. But yet, I can still choose to enjoy it. It doesn't matter if I want to do it. It doesn't matter how I feel in terms of how difficult it is. No matter all of those factors, I can still choose to enjoy it. Because, like, think about it in my head. At the very minimum, if it completely fails, like nobody looks at it, nobody actually does anything with it, at the very least, I learned how to make a landing page. So at the very minimum, I became a better person. You see how just thinking about it, I can just switch on enjoyment. Like from now on, it's easy for me to make a sales page, a landing page, because I know that it's just a skill that I'm learning. Like I can choose to enjoy it. And so it's actually easier for me to do. It's like enjoyment becomes your motivation. That's the thing. Like people wait for motivation, but motivation itself is just an emotion, but you can get motivation by enjoying the thing you have to do. You have never procrastinated on scrolling, for example, scrolling or video games or junk food, right? You don't procrastinate on those things because they're enjoyable. Now, both of us know that they're not exactly good for you, right? But you still don't procrastinate on them because your brain sees a benefit to it. You can get that same effect on the thing you want to do if you just choose to enjoy it. Like, again, the biggest thing here is that you can choose to enjoy it. Don't even try to complain to me. Like, I've talked to people before and they think they want to complain about how, like, they're a special snowflake. Like, bro, you're not special. Like, I wish I could tell this to my younger self, Like, I'm making these exact videos because I wish I could go back in time and watch them myself. You're not a special snowflake, bro. Like, just choose, like, hear me out for a day. At least try it for one day. Just try to do the thing. Yes, it's going to be a bit hard, but you can just choose to like it. At least find something fun or enjoyable in that. And I promise you, in anything you do, there's at least one enjoyable thing. One enjoyable thing that you can do to actually start to want to do it. And after that, moving into the second mindset, which is the ER spectrum. The ER spectrum is the dichotomy between effort and reward. So we both know how every time you do something, there's a perceived effort that you have, how hard you think it is, and the perceived reward, what you think you're going to get out of it. Except the problem is that we overestimate effort, but we underestimate reward. So we think it's harder than it really is, and we think we're going to get less out of it than we really are. You see, that's a problem. Our brain doesn't like that. Your brain loves it when it's something extremely easy to do and you get a huge reward for it. That's why you scroll. That's exactly why you scroll. All you have to do is flick your thumb up, right? Almost zero effort. And yet your brain gets all the dopamine, all of the serotonin, like all of the fun, happy chemicals in your brain. They fire off. So a huge reward. And so this is why people end up scrolling. The gap between how they think it's difficult and the reward they really get is that big. But you can actually use this to your advantage. Once again, all of these mindsets are here for you to actually stop procrastinating. You can use these today. You don't need to wait until next week. You can use them today. So let's say immediately, just because of the fact you know this, you know that whatever you want to do that you're procrastinating on, it's actually easier than you think, and you're going to get more out of it, right? Just immediately from hearing this. But you can go one step further. So again, I'm not going to give you any tactics because I don't believe in them. They didn't help me. You can just ask yourself 2 simple questions, and if you just apply whatever answer you have, that's immediately just making it so much easier for you. First question: how can you make this thing seem easier? Again, seem easier. So you can go ahead and set the thing up in the morning. For example, you could go ahead and make it a part of your routine or make it a habit. I'm not going to give you exact suggestions because I don't know your exact situation. That's the problem with tactics. So once again, ask yourself, how can I make this seem easier? And the second question, how can I make this seem more rewarding? How can you make it seem so that the effort gets balanced out so you think it's actually less than it really is, and the reward gets balanced out so you think it's more than it really is? Just this simple understanding will immediately make it easier for you to stop procrastinating. But without this last mindset, you won't have urgency to act. A big thing about why people procrastinate is that they lack urgency. Think of a person, like a college student, for example. They get assigned a huge essay, right? It takes them they give a 4-week deadline. You have a month to write this. And yet, people wait until the last 2 days to write it. Why is that? It's because of urgency. In those first 3 weeks, you don't even think about it in your head. You know you have a deadline, but it doesn't seem that important in your head. It doesn't seem like it's urgent enough to start. So even with those last 2 mindsets I gave you, they're amazing. I promise you, just those will make it super easy for you to stop procrastinate. But this last one is really where it gets juicy. I want you to imagine with me where in the future, like let's say in 50, 60, 70 years, you're on your deathbed, like you are dying, okay? You're at the very end of your life. You have the long, happy life. And now you're just reflecting. You're looking back over your life, right? You can close your eyes with this even. I'll close my eyes as well. Imagine looking back at your younger years, because again, I help young, ambitious guys stop procrastinating. Imagine looking back over your young years. You had big dreams. You have big ambitions. And yet, looking back over your life, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. You didn't end up going after your dream. And you thought that you would do it later in your life, but that's when you get responsibility. You have to have kids, you have a wife, You get all of these extra responsibilities, like you probably need to pay off your house or your apartment. You don't have extra time. You don't even have the extra energy anymore. You just can't. And imagine the regret that you would feel. I couldn't live with myself if I felt that kind of regret. Well and truly, I'm going to be honest with you, that would feel like a gut punch, but to your heart. Imagine the regret that you would feel because you just procrastinated on your goals and your dreams when you're later in your life, when you're at the end of your life. I couldn't live with myself like that. And so you have 2 options here. You can either continue to live your life as you are and to end up feeling that regret when you're however old you are when you die. Or you can take that visualization that I just gave you and use it as fuel to actually stop procrastinating, right? This mindset that regret is what fuels you is exactly what gives me urgency. I know it sounds like it's so far off, right? 50, 60, 70 years from now. That sounds like it's far away, right? It's really not. Like as you age, you experience time much more slowly than you do when you were a kid, right? This is literally scientifically proven. As you age, time seems to move faster. the more you wait on your goals and dreams, the faster and faster time is going to pass you by. The more and more you're going to end up procrastinating. And so you have a choice here. You can either continue living as you are and feel that regret, or you realize that you really don't have that much time. You don't have time to wait and procrastinate on it and take action on it. Take action so that you don't feel that regret when you grow old and wrinkly and you're on your deathbed. That's what motivates me. That's what gives me urgency in my life. And that's why I'm here recording 3 videos in one day. Use this mindset and use all of the mindset that I give you. And I truly well and promise you, you will stop procrastinating. I truly promise you. As a quick recap to the mindsets, we covered discipline, motivation, and enjoyment. We covered the ER spectrum with effort versus reward. And we covered the last visualization with regret. I just want to leave this video off on a final note, which is why tactics just don't work. I mentioned this a little bit at the start of this video, but tactics are either too specific and so they don't apply to you, or they're too universal and so they're not even that effective. That's the problem with tactics. Like, you can get super specific advice to someone who isn't you, or too universal advice, which does apply to you, but it doesn't actually help you. And that's where I come in. I do procrastination coaching, and coaching is specific, extremely specific, but it's specific for you. You get exactly what you need to stop procrastinating. And so if you want to shortcut the 2 years that I spent into 2 weeks or a month for you, then you can go ahead and get your free consultation by clicking the link in the description. I've actually had the most clients I've ever had recently. And so if you want to go ahead and join in and actually make a difference in your life and actually start taking action towards your goals, then again, link in the description to get your free consultation.